Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The bold and the beautiful recap for Tuesday, April 22, 2025 is finally here. In today's episode, Eric Forrester, John McCook, plays Cupid. Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, learns he is dying. However, Kelly Spencer, Sophia Perez, has the best night with her dad ever. John Finn Finnegan, Tanner Novlan, tells Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline Masinswood, that surgery is not an option. She weeps and refuses to accept it. Steph, I can't believe this is happening. How can Liam be dying? Finn explains why doctors missed the mass before. Finn tells Steffi that it's urgent that Liam get back to the hospital. Finn repeats it's inoperable as he tries to console his wife. Finn tells Steffi that the mass wasn't caused by the fall, it was there before. Finn brings up how dedicated Liam is to be a better day and be there for his girls. One step at a time, Finn tells his wife. Steffi thinks she should be the one to tell Liam he's dying. Liam's vision blurs in Kelly's room. The little girl pushes him to keep reading. Liam tries to recall the words by memory since his vision is totally blurry. Liam isn't covering very well. Kelly picks up on Liam not reading the story right. Liam tries to get her to read to him, but the little girl knows something is wrong. Liam claims his eyes are tired, so he offers to tell her a story instead of reading. Liam tells a story about a little girl with the same name as Kelly. As Liam tells the story, Kelly asks him to promise they will always be together. Liam does but has a worried look on his face. Liam leaves Kelly's room and rejoins Cyan. Liam can tell Steffi's been crying. Liam mentions he's tired. Steffi says they need to talk. Finn excuses himself to give Steam privacy. Steffi brings up how magical this night was for Kelly. Liam's head is hurting and needs to sit down. Liam apologizes for being late for Kelly's dance. Steffi insists Kelly would have understood. He risked his health. Steffi breaks down in tears. Liam is worried. What the heck is going on? Liam asks if he did something wrong. Steffi tells Liam his test results came in. Steffi sobs as she holds Liam's hand. Liam asks her to just say it. Steffi tells him about the inoperable brain tumor. You're dying. Liam Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, enters Eric's office at Forrester Creations. Brooke gushes over Eric's designs out of the vault. Eric asks Brooke if she misses Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Cave. She does, but she's happy to see the Forresters back where they belong. This feels right, she says. At least at the company. Brooke admits to missing and loving Ridge. It's hard to see him at the office each day. Eric listens and admits that Ridge is Brooke's person. Ridge comes in yapping about making magic. He freezes when he sees Brooke. Ridge asks what's going on with Eric and Brooke. Ridge warns against anyone seeing the surprise. Brooke exits, but Eric wants to talk to her some more later. After Brooke leaves, Ridge questions his father. Eric is vague and shows Ridge a picture of Brooke in a gown. Eric brings up that Ridge suddenly left Brooke for Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, over a job. They argue, then Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, comes in. While Eric and Electra talk, Ridge remembers Brooke wearing a wedding dress on a boat. Eric sees that his plan is working and smiles in Ridge's direction. Los Angeles was wrapped in an odd hush, like the calm before a storm. But in the world of the Forresters, Spencers, and Logans, storms came dressed in designer suits, secrets, and the glimmer of old love rekindled. Tuesday's episode was no exception. Hearts collided, truth unraveled, and one little girl's special night lit a path of unexpected revelations. Act I, Cupid wears cashmere. At the Forrester mansion, Eric Forrester was enjoying a rare moment of peace. A crackling fire glowed in the hearth, and beside him sat Donna, smiling at her husband with the warmth only she could offer. But Eric wasn't focused on the flames, he was focused on love. Other people's love. Do you remember the first time you fell in love? Eric asked, half to himself, half to Donna. She tilted her head. Which time? With you or the first time? He chuckled. That's the beauty of it. We're always falling in love again. But Eric wasn't reminiscing for nostalgia's sake. He had a mission. He had seen too much heartbreak lately, too many crossed wires, too many couples dancing around truths they were afraid to speak. Eric, always the romantic architect, was planning one last blueprint, this time for the hearts of Hope and Thomas. I saw the way Hope looked at him, Eric said, pouring a scotch. She's still in love with him, even if she doesn't know it yet. Donna, ever the cheerleader, nodded. And Thomas, he practically worships the ground she walks on. That was all the encouragement Eric needed. By midday, he was making calls. Hope was invited over under the guise of previewing a new design collaboration. Thomas, lured with the promise of feedback on his sketches. Neither knew the other would be there. Eric's Cupid arrow, a candlelit room, an old Forrester wedding sketch pinned to the mood board, and a playlist featuring Hope's favorite classical piece, something she had once confessed to Thomas during a late-night design session. Act IA. Liam's alarming truth. Across town, in a sterile two-white medical office, Liam Spencer sat stiffly, staring at the floor. Dr. Martin flipped through test results, her expression growing increasingly sober. Liam had brushed off his dizzy spells, memory lapses, and strange mood swings as stress. The divorce, the co-parenting struggle, Steffi's protectiveness, and now Luna's sudden distancing, it had all taken a toll. But when he forgot Kelly's favorite bedtime story, one he had told her hundreds of times, Steffi insisted he see a doctor. Now here he was. And the answer was far more terrifying than he had expected. There's a mass on the left temporal lobe, Dr. Martin said gently. We need to do a biopsy, but there's a possibility it's a low-grade glioma, a brain tumor. The words didn't land. Not really, not at first. Tumor? Liam repeated. No, there must be some mistake. I just needed sleep. Dr. Martin placed a hand over his chart. I understand this is difficult to process. But this could explain your confusion, the emotional shifts, the memory gaps. We caught it early, and that's a blessing. Blessing. What a twisted word, Liam thought bitterly. He nodded numbly, thanked the doctor like someone who'd just been handed his dry cleaning instead of a life-altering diagnosis, and left. Outside the clinic, the Los Angeles sun was blinding. Liam shielded his eyes, but the ache wasn't in his head, it was in his heart. How could he tell anyone? Steffi would panic. Hope might feel sorry for him. Bill? God only knew how his father would react. But there was one person he needed to be strong for. Act II. Kelly's night to shine. That night, the air buzzed with a quiet excitement at the Cliff House. Steffi had been helping Kelly prepare for the school's annual Stars of Tomorrow talent showcase. Kelly was doing a solo dance, something she practiced tirelessly for weeks. The living room was a mess of sparkly hair clips, pink shoes, and glitter-drenched costumes. Liam arrived earlier than expected. He walked in as Kelly twirled in the living room, her cheeks flushed with anticipation. "Daddy," she shrieked, launching into his arms. Liam held her tighter than usual, pressing his cheek to her hair. "You're going to be the most magical star on that stage." Steffi noticed the way he looked at Kelly, like he was memorizing her. She pulled him aside. "Are you okay?" she asked quietly. "You're pale. And you haven't returned my texts all day." Liam hesitated. The words were a storm inside him, but he kept them at bay. "Just overwhelmed. Work stuff. But I'm here now. That's what matters." Steffi studied him. There was something haunted behind his eyes. But before she could press, Kelly called out. "Let's go. I don't want to be late." Act IV. One magical moment, one quiet goodbye. The auditorium buzzed with families, parents snapping photos, siblings complaining about the wait. Liam sat in the front row beside Steffi, both of them nervously watching the curtain. Then, the spotlight. Kelly stepped onto the stage, her tiny frame glowing under the light. The music began, a gentle, sweeping melody, and she danced. Graceful, determined, full of joy. Liam's eyes welled up. Not because she was good, she was amazing, but because he wasn't sure how many more of these moments he'd get. He thought of how much he'd taken for granted. How many times he'd been too distracted, too bitter, too lost in old wounds. When the final spin landed and Kelly curtsied, the crowd erupted. Liam was the first on his feet. Later, in the parking lot, Kelly clutched her little trophy with sleepy pride. "I'm gonna put it on the shelf next to my unicorn lamp," she announced. "You earned it," Liam said, kissing her forehead. Steffi hugged him goodbye, her hand lingering on his arm. "You sure you're okay?" Liam nodded. "Just thinking about what matters." Act V. Unexpected intersections. Meanwhile, back at the Forrester estate, Hope walked into the design room and froze. Thomas stood at the center of the room, looking equally surprised. "You're here." "I thought this was just a design review with Eric," she said. Thomas laughed softly. "So did I," they exchanged an awkward smile. But as the music played and the candles flickered, something shifted. Eric, watching from a hidden hallway nook, smiled like a magician who had pulled off a perfect illusion. The conversation flowed easily at first. The new line, feedback, creative inspiration. But soon, it drifted. "I never thanked you," Hope said, voice soft. "For backing away when I needed space, you respected that." Thomas looked away. "It wasn't easy. But I wanted you to choose me for the right reasons. And what if I'm starting to realize the right reason has been in front of me all along?" The tension thickened. Their eyes met, not with the hesitation of before, but with the promise of something new. A rebirth. Act VI. The Secret in the Mirror. At Bill Spencer's estate, the tycoon was nursing a glass of bourbon when Liam walked in unannounced. Bill raised an eyebrow. "Unusual for you to show up without a phone call. What's going on?" Liam stood by the window, silhouetted against the skyline. "I need you to promise something." Bill sat up straighter. "Anything. If anything ever happens to me, I need you to be there for Kelly, not just financially, really be there." Bill's face paled. "What are you talking about, Liam?" Liam turned, and the anguish was written all over him. "I might be sick, Dad. Something serious." Bill didn't ask for details. He stood, walked to his son, and embraced him fiercely. "You're not alone," he whispered. "Not now. Not ever." Final scene. Threads weaving together. Back at the Forrester mansion, Hope and Thomas stood inches apart. The music had stopped. The words had faded. Only their eyes spoke now. "I should go," Hope whispered. "Unless you want to stay," Thomas replied. Hope lingered. She wasn't ready to leave. Not yet. Maybe not ever. At the Cliff House, Steffi tucked Kelly into bed. The girl clutched her trophy like a teddy bear. "Daddy looked sad tonight," she murmured. Steffi smoothed her hair. "Sometimes grown-ups get sad. But he loves you very much." Outside, Liam sat in his car, gripping the steering wheel. He had a choice. Tell the truth. Fight. Hope. Heal. Or disappear. But something in Kelly's dance had reminded him, the show must go on. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Boldy and BAUTFULUPDAT YouTube channel for more update news.